Hi, this is Shannon with Shannon Kitchen, and I was going to teach you how to marinate steaks. And then in a little while, I'm going to teach you how to pan sear ribeye steak, or not ribeyes, but I got some sirloins. They're called boneless tip sirloin steaks. And this is about what they look like. And they're pretty good and big in thickness. I'm going to go ahead and take this one out of the package so that you can see what it looks like before we get started. This is a sirloin steak. A lot of times we do ribeyes here in our family, but I'm going to do that in a different segment. But I decided to go with a sirloin steak. And see all this fat right here? This fat you're going to want to keep. If you don't want it on your steak when you go to serve it on the plate, all you have to do is get your fillet knife and just cut down the edge here, all the way down your steak, and then just discard it. You know, some people like to give it to their dogs, whatever you want to do with it. So let's get rid of this. And so I'm going to put my steaks over here on a pan for right now, so I can go ahead and reduce some onions and some garlic and some green onions in a pan for you with some olive oil and some butter. I'm not going to be using any salt in this meal today. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and get started. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and clear up the thing about the butter situation. A lot of people think that if you're buying butter and it's in a tub and it says Betty Crocker on it, or Blue Bonnet, that it's butter. It's not butter, okay? This is butter. Land O'Lakes, and I'm pretty sure it's like backwards on the screen, but here it's got like the tablespoon measurements on the back of the bar. And I always keep my butter out. A lot of people are fixated on refrigerating their butter. It's not going to hurt you to eat butter that is warm. My great-grandmother, her name was Alma, and she was born and raised in Barnesville, Georgia. And she kept her butter out in a butter dish. I mean, hers was not, much nicer, but, and it keeps your butter away from, if a housefly gets in your kitchen or whatever. It keeps your butter, warm, and it keeps it, healthy. And it keeps it from getting any trash or any butter, not butter, but flies are on it or whatever, So, yeah, you can keep your butter in a container like this. And then you don't have to worry about if you want to go put it on toast or a biscuit or whatever, about it being, hard to smear. Like I said, my great-grandmother, she was born in 1911 on September the 11th. And when she was growing, it was from adulthood on through her first and second husband, raising children, and then down to me, her great-grandchild, she kept her butter out. And she told me, she said, I keep my butter out because it's easier to spread. And I've been doing it for years, and I'm just fine. So it's okay to leave your butter out. It's not going to hurt you one bit. Okay? Okay, so that's enough about the butter. If it does not say USDA, US grade, AA on the front of it, like that, it's not butter, it's margarine. Okay? I just wanted to clear up that confusion for anybody that may be listening. Let's see, I used to weigh 400 pounds, and I lost 215 pounds switching from margarine to regular butter and switching from vegetable oil. Now I do fry foods. I don't double batter my chicken anymore or my pork chops or anything of this sort. I just, batter it with milk and eggs and seasoning, and then dip it in there and dip it in my flour that has seasoning in it and stick it right in the oil. Sometimes I might use vegetable oil, and sometimes I might use olive oil. I've been known to use olive oil in fried chicken, and it tastes really good. A lot of people like to use peanut oil. I'm an olive oil fan. Olive oil has a lot of great properties to it, and it's much healthier to use. Not saying that peanut oil or safflower oil or sunflower oil. Yes, there is sunflower oil out there. There's also oregano oil out there. I'm not saying that any of those other oils are, bad for you. But for me and my family, we've been eating clean since around 2010. So, we've been eating clean for quite a while, and I wouldn't go back to buying vegetables in a can or in a bag, or, using garlic powder. I use garlic powder sometimes, but 95% of the time, if you're in my kitchen, this is what you're going to see. That's the clove of garlic. See? That's what you're going to see. And I'll be smashing them up for you in just a minute here. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead, take this little pan, because what I'm going to be pan searing our steaks in is wrought iron. See? Okay. Now, these wrought iron hot pans have already been seasoned. I season them after every use. And someday on here, I'm going to show you how to do that. If you're ever interested in cooking cast iron. I don't know, there's a lot of air fryers and stuff like that out there these days, and a lot of people are using those. I got an air fryer from my mother-in-law, God rest her soul, and she spent a lot of money on it, and my husband uses it to dehydrate for jerky now, because I don't know how to use it. I read the instructions. I went by the recipe. It was one of them emerald things. It's made by Emerald, the chef. Yeah, I followed the recipe. The chicken was done on the inside, and there was still flour on the outside. And I tried it to air fry some potato wedges, and yeah, they came out hard as bricks. So I stick to my frying pans, okay? Because this is what I know. So all y'all can keep the air fryers. Yeah, we're moving on from that. So, anyways, so what we're going to do here right now is I'm going to take, I've got all my ingredients out here, and I'm going to take, this is a half an onion, and I'm going to take it on my board, and I'm going to go ahead and finish slicing it, because I used the other half for our dinner last night, and now I'm going to use this half just for my marinade. Now I do have another onion that I'm going to use later on tonight on the second segment of this video, but right now I'm just doing a marinade sauce for our steaks. So, I mean, a lot of y'all might put rubs and stuff on them, and I do that too, but I like to cook my onions, because, if you're putting it in a meatloaf, or you're smashing it into the flesh of a salmon fillet, it's not going to render out the juices from the onion if you're putting it in a sauce and then pouring it on a steak. If you're just going to put it on the steak, it's not going to do its job. So if you go ahead and render all the juice, because there's juices in here, the stuff that makes your eyes water and the stuff that gets on your fingers and it's kind of sticky or slimy, it'll reduce and render in this pot. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do a few cloves of garlic. Now with the garlic, I'm just going to smash it, because if you cut it up, then it's going to release most of its oils and juices right here on your cutting board. And you want it to go in the pan and marry with the other seasonings. So I'm going to go ahead and put my eye on 7, which is like a medium, high, like almost a high heat, but it's a medium high heat. Anywhere between, your low is like a simmer, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is like, or 4 like is low heat, and then your 5 and 6 is a medium, and then 7, 8 is, like a high medium, and then your high is high, okay? You don't ever want to try to cook on a high heat, because you're just, not especially if you're working with wrought iron, because you could pull wrought iron off of a hot grill or hot fire, or off of a hot eye. where it's been sitting for a bit, and it'll cook without being on the eye for a while. So, but if you're using, you know, a regular silver pan or whatever, then you don't have to worry about that. But tonight I'm doing pan searing on my steaks. So I'm going to want something a little bit more tough, and that's why I'm using cast iron. So usually I grill our steaks, but I decided I want to do pan sear. I did pan sear about a month ago, and I really enjoyed it, and it was very good. Okay, so to start off with, while my pan is getting hot, I've already got a little less than a half a stick of butter, okay? So I'm going to take my knife, butter knife, and I'm just going to drop it into the pan, okay? And this is just so that, you know, I can get some juices flowing in my pan there. And I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to take this big stick of butter, and I'm going to show you how easy this is. So my butter's been sitting out, like I've done for 20 years. I've been married to my husband this past September the 9th made 22 years. And before that, you know, I don't remember if my mom kept her butter in the refrigerator, but I know my great-grandmother didn't. And she's the one that taught me this. And also a friend of mine that lives in the country out in Vidalia, Georgia, taught me this. And when I saw her doing it, I decided, okay, well, it's safe. It's whipped butter. And it's ready for spreading, but it's also ready for cooking. And a lot of times, you want some butter frozen. If you're going to make, if your biscuits, like if you make homemade biscuits like we do or like I do, there is a recipe that sometimes calls for cold butter instead of Crisco or lard is what that might be called. But so your butter is melting down, okay? Now I want a little bit of a nuttiness to my butter, so, and yes, you can control the flavor of your butter. Bet you didn't know that, did you? You can control the flavor of your butter by letting it sit, okay? You want it to turn a little brown color, not very much, but like just a hint of brown. Because once you let it get past that, it's going to be burnt, and you don't want your butter to be burnt because then you have to start over, okay? I use this in a lot of my sauces that I make for my buffalo tenders. Like I make homemade lemon pepper, I make homemade buffalo, and you know, regular of course. But I use butter and my seasonings. In my lemon pepper, I use lemon juice, dill weed, pickle juice, butter, salt and pepper, and some other things that I'm not going to share with you. Maybe I'll cook it for you and you can learn that way. There's a lot of things that I've done differently to those recipes, and I'm going to share them with you here on my channel. So we've already been on here for 13 minutes. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab me a knife. Now when it comes to knives, I like to use, this is Tefal. And I also like to use Saboteur knives. Let's see if I can find it where it's not wore off. I use my knives every day. Now these are very sharp, but that is a Saboteur knife, and it is made out of stainless steel, and it comes with its own butcher block and a sharpener, and it's got steak knives with it, paring knife, all that. But I also like to use my Tefal knives. So I'm going to take this onion right here that I've already kind of minced. All right, I'm going to show you how much fun this can be. I'm just waiting for my butter to just kind of get a little crispy brown. I'm just stirring it a little bit. I'll show you. It's okay for it to bubble up. Now it's a little bit brown, so I'm going to pull it off the eye. It doesn't take very much time to get it there. So you have to be careful with the butter and make sure that you're paying attention. So I'm just going to slice, see if you can see that, down. And it just kind of slices off into pieces. There's some pieces that may not. But I don't want to cut up a whole lot and put a whole lot of onion in my marinade, because I'm going to be sauteing an onion in a pan on the stove to make my steak sauce. Yeah, homemade steak sauce. It can be done. And I'm going to teach you tonight. So, here we go. This is about, and I'm going to cut down the sides. Right here. Try to cut around. I call this a hinge. You don't ever want to cut that off when you're mincing your onions, because it keeps it together nicely so that you can cut your onions into squares. Alright, so there's no more use for this, so I'm just going to throw that away. Alright, and now right now I'm just cutting these little pieces that I had to cut up on the side in small chunks. And here in a bit, I'm going to take my big knife, and once I get all of everything cut up that I want to put in the marinade, and of course you have to let your marinade cool down, so during that time is when I'm going to, you know, put my rubs and stuff on my steaks. That's what you want your butter to look like. I don't know if you can see that too well. So, turning the heat down to a 5. I'm going to add my onions. You might hear a little bit of a sizzle, but you want your pan to calm down a little bit, you know, kind of get cool. And you want to leave it. Alright, you don't want to do nothing too fancy, okay? Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to smash it. And we want to remove the shell, okay? Revealing, surprise, surprise, smashed garlic. I'm just going to add it. If it falls apart, it falls apart. Because they're into, like I said before, you don't want too much of the juices or the onion or the oil from the garlic. And you'll know what it feels like, because if you touch it and then you rub your fingers, it's very flavorful. It's very sticky. That's what ends up in your sauce. That's what you want in your pan to go into your marinade, okay? Alright, so moving right on along. I'm going to take it and just kind of do that with it. Alright, now I'm going to teach you a little something about green onions, okay? These I purchased at the store, alright? But this is the part I'm using, is the green onion. Because what I plan on doing with the rest of it, which is be from about here on down, see the roots? You can put that in a cup of water and grow them in your windowsill. No joke. I'll prove it to you. I'll show you. I'll put it in the cup today and put it over here next to all my stuff, you know, my glasses and my coffee maker. And I'll show you next week. They'll be taller because I already have more stalks in there in the refrigerator that I'm going to use for the rest of the week. Because I'm going to see you on tonight and then Friday night and Sunday night. You'll get me for 3 nights a week. So I'll be teaching you all kind of different things. So let's see. We're cutting them off. About that much. And you're going to put these over here to the side. Now, this is the part that I want. Right here where they all gather. I don't know if you can see that too well. I need to get me a good light in here. But that's what I want. Okay? I've removed everything from the heat. And I'm about to add some olive oil. About to add a bunch of stuff. So, hold on one second. my olive oil. Now, there's a big difference between olive oil, especially extra virgin olive oil, and regular vegetable oils that we fry our food with. You can put any kind of seasoning in this bottle, and this oil will absorb it. Like if you want to put Vidalia saffron or rosemary or thyme or cilantro, peppers, anything you want to put in this oil will absorb it, and you can use it in your cooking. So I'm just going to add about that much to it. I want to say it's probably a good 1/4 of a cup, which is just enough to cover the bottom of the cup. Some people use measuring cups. I do, only every now and then. But a regular size coffee cup is good for measuring 1 cup. Not a big cup like you find, you know. Not a big cup. Small cup. You know. There you go. So if you don't have a measuring cup, that works like a charm. So sitting back on the heat, I'm going to go ahead and start chopping up these pieces. I love the way that sounds. Emery, could you please get the door? Okay, sorry, someone seems to be at my door. There's nobody here. Someone just knocked at the door. Okay. Maybe it's a package. I had some stuff. Huh? Okay, well I had some stuff coming from Amazon, so maybe that's what it was. Okay. So, right back to chopping these green onions. And you'll notice that these have a slimy feel to them. And that's good too for, you know, whatever you need done. You'll find that watching me cook, I'm going to use a lot of green onions in my recipes. Green onion gives off a really clean, soft, oniony taste. A lot of people use these on salads, okay? You can grow these out in your front yard. Did you know that? You can grow them in your front yard. I used to, till I figured out, until my mom taught me you could, you know, grow them in your windowsill on a glass of water. I had no idea. Okay, so back to this. So we're just going to fold everything in. And everything's in there. The garlic's smashed. It's rendering really nice. By the way, rendering or caramelized means that your onions are almost clear. You want almost a clear look to your onions and your garlic. Because here in a little bit, after I add, you know, some more seasonings, we're going to add this to this. Our steaks are going to be sitting in here after I put the dry rub on them. Okay? And you want to seal it or put saran wrap or aluminum foil on top and stick it back in your refrigerator. Okay? You want it back in there, that way it can stay fresh and keep cool. Alright, so this is what it looks like, and it smells delicious. Okay, so next thing I'm going to add is some Worcestershire sauce. Okay. Let's say you want 1/3 of a cup of that. Okay? Always try to remember to keep your station clean, okay? You don't want to be cooking in filth. Alright, the next thing that we have is this post muscadine grape juice that is homemade, by the way. You can get it at the Fisherama or at the Georgia National Fair, or I guess the Ron Hyper Fair or whatever. I don't know if those people travel out of the state of Georgia, but this stuff, you can drink it. I use it to cook with all the time, and it's very expensive. I'm not gonna lie, it's expensive. It's 100% grape juice, naturally sweet, and no sugar added. And if you look in the ingredients, it says calcium, protein, 0%, serving size is 6, 60 calories, 0 fat, 12 grams of sugar. So even diabetics can have this. I'm a diabetic. Did I tell you that? A real one. It's hard being a diabetic, and I understand the pain and the struggle is real. But you know, I'm also, you know, there's other things wrong with me too, but I'm not gonna go into that. But anyhow, maybe it's because I'm just a little bit crazy, maybe. But I'm a good cook, so people come from all over to my house because they want to eat some good cooking. Because I do everything clean and everything's natural. There's no added sugar, and you can give this to your kids, and it's 60 calories and it's 12 grams of sugar. I guarantee you there's at least more than that in a pack of Kool-Aid or in, you know, a barrel of juice. Keep that in mind. Maybe it's expensive because it's quality, but you know, I got like a box of 4 for, I think it was $40, $50, and this is my last bottle. And the fish aroma comes around in February, but the Georgia National Fair is in a few weeks, and I plan on going back and getting me some more because it always lasts me until the fish aroma comes around, buck aroma. The name of the company is called Post, I guess. And yeah, look them up online. It's called Post Family Vineyards. They're from Arkansas. But their number is 1-800-275-8423. 1-800-275-8423. I do not work for them, but I do use their muscadine juice and drink it. Muscadine grape juice. They also have it in the purple too, and that's really good too. But their website is www.postfamily.com. www.postfamily.com, and all of it's lowercase. So it's so delicious. All right, so I'm going to. Man, I should have got somebody to open this. Okay. My hands just don't work like they used to. Okay, let's see. It smells so good. You want to put 1/4 of a cup. Okay? I might just pour me some of that here in a minute. All right. We are adding the cold or liquid ingredients to this right now. Now that's kind of going to cool it down because I keep mine in the refrigerator, but that's okay because you're going to add a little bit more heat to it and put it up on a 7. We're going to start marrying all of these ingredients together. And next I'm going to add lemon pepper with lemon juice marinade in it. I go to Kroger. I don't know if you have a Kroger where you live, but I do, and that's where I get this. This is Kroger brand. It's only a couple of dollars. You want to do a circle in there. I'm about out of that, but I got more in the refrigerator, so it's all good. I keep this. I cook a lot of salmon, you know, stuff like that for my family. Plus I use it in my lemon pepper chicken recipe. But I also use stuff like real lemon juice. I'm sorry, but the lemon juice that comes out of the bottle does not taste the same as the lemon that comes out of an actual lemon. It doesn't taste the same. It just doesn't. No comparison. Okay. So we've added all of our cold ingredients except my favorite, A1. With the A1, you don't want to be generous, okay? Because you don't want the molasses in the A1 to take over the taste. You just want that was 3 tablespoons. When you cook as long as I have been cooking since I was a little girl, you don't have to use measurements. You don't have to use measurements really that often because you go by taste. Now, we're about to do that right now. This is my taster spoon, and it will be sitting here tonight when I'm cooking. It's so good. It's got a very hearty, tangy taste to it. Not to mention the lemon juice in there. And I usually use lemons to tenderize my steaks, but I forgot to pick some up at the store, so I don't have any lemons. But I've used that lemon marinade before, lemon pepper marinade. It has real lemons on it. It says it on the thing. That will act as a natural tenderizer to my steak. Okay, so I'm gonna let that marry on simmer. The only dry ingredient I'm going to add to this is this. Let's see, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 brand seasoning, steak seasoning. Because it's also going on my steaks too. All right, now, let's see here. I started this channel because a lot of my friends were always asking me, hey Shannon, I saw that plate of food that you posted on Facebook last night or the night before. It looked really good. By the way, this is probably about 3 tablespoons of the Jack Daniel's steak seasoning. Believe me, I'm new to this, so I'm sure once I start, doing enough of these videos, then I won't move fast, or I'll move a little bit slower. I don't know. Anyhow, taking this seasoning. So how I ended up doing this video was a lot of my friends were asking me. I use Kenny's products too. It's called, go to www.kennysspices.com. You can't find this in the store. Just like you can't find that muscadine grape juice in the store either. You have to go online and order it. Or come on down to Perry, Georgia, to the Buckarama, Fisherama, Turkarama, or to the Georgia National Fair, where the people are, and these people aren't even from around here. Let's see. Go to www.kennysspices.com. Kennysspices.com. And you can order the stuff I cook with from there. Okay, so I'm about to add that much of the Kansas City in there. The reason why I'm not adding much is because it has these little peppers in it. See? The little peppers. You can find these at a pizzeria. Some people put the little tiny, peppers on their pizza, and it's dehydrated. And I don't use much of it because it's spicy. This is probably a tablespoon, okay? But my husband really likes it on his steaks. So, I try to help give him what he wants. So I'm going to smash these. I'm not sure what this thing is called, but I went and got one. You can order it on Amazon, but we have a place called Archon Moon here in Robbins, and she sells stuff like this, and crystals, and I was in there knowing that there was going to be one of these in there, and that's where I got mine. It's made out of 100% hard marble, And I'm just smashing my seasonings together. Okay, I'm gonna try not to make them too fine, but just fine enough where all the oils are being released out of the dehydrated rub. Is basically what this is. This is what I'm going to put on my steaks. All right. Now, what I'm actually going to put in here is just the Jack Daniels. Okay. And I'm going to show you something. If you're ever without a tablespoon or a teaspoon, this is a pinch. You ever heard somebody say a pinch of this, a pinch of that, or 2 pinches of this? This is a pinch. This is 2 pinches, 3 pinches. This is 4. This is 5. That's 5 pinches. That's all. I got this from Academy Sports. Very rarely do I buy my seasonings from a grocery store. This came from Academy. This is what some of the grill people on TV use. At Pit Boss marathons or challenges or whatever, or contests. This is what they use. Okay. Now, we are going to stir everything, and you're starting to get a film on the top of this marinade, and that's called a flan. Okay, you want that all in the sauce, and sometimes it'll get up on the ridges here on the side of the pan. You want that deep in your marinade because that's where the flavor is, darling. That's where all the flavor is. So I'm just gonna stir it, and it's starting to come to a little bit of a boil. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it on low, all right? And I'm going to get a pan, and I'm going to put my steaks on the pan. That way I can put the rubs on. I'll take this and put this in the bowl. Now, let's see here. We'll go ahead. I've already unpackaged this one. Again, we're keeping the fat. If you want to trim it off after you're done grilling or pan searing your steak, or however you want to do it. Like I said, I'm just doing this segment right now to show you how you can, there's different ways you can marinate a steak. You can put it all in, you know, A1 sauce, Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire, however you want to pronounce it. I like making my own marinade, and it's all cooked. So, what we're going to have to do now is remove it from the heat, okay? And here in a moment, I'm going to do a thing called blanching, okay? I'm going to slow down the cooking because it's still in the pan, and there's a lot of heat reserved inside this pan where this sauce is sitting. So, I'm going to blanch it. Ice. About 4 cubes. And just stir. But you never seen anybody do that, have you? The reason why I'm blanching my sauce before I pour it onto my steaks is because if I don't do this, it'll be hot when it touches my steaks and it'll cook them in the pot. I don't want that, okay? I'm just using, the reason why, it's just like going back to the meatloaf and the salmon. If it was meatloaf where I could mix the onions and the garlic and the green onions into the meat and mold it into a loaf, Or if it was salmon, where I could just smash it into the flesh, because the flesh on the salmon is very tender. Then I wouldn't have to do this. But because I'm going to pour, because you're just going to put onions on the steak, and I don't like using onion powder or garlic powder. I like using natural ingredients. That's why it's about eating clean. I don't use meat tenderizer because, have you ever read what's on the back of meat tenderizer? There's chemicals in there. That's why I use lemon juice or pineapple juice, because the acid in it breaks down the meat and makes it tender. If it will tenderize a piece of beef or a piece of chicken, imagine what it's doing to the inside of your body. Meat tenderizer. You can clean with oil from a lemon peel. Do you know that? You sure can. And you can clean your garbage disposal with lemons too. Just throw them in there, grind them up with hot water. Clean, clean, clean. All right, already this is starting to cool off, and that's exactly what I wanted. So while that's sitting, we're going to come over here, and I'm going to push this all up so that I can move my pan right here so you can see a little bit better. I promise you, as month progresses or whatever, I'll try to get, a high def light or whatever so you can see better. Maybe I have more, height or whatever on the other side of the bar. There's a bar right here that you can't see. So it goes all the way around. But, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to take these steaks, put them over on this side, and I'm going to not add salt and pepper. But, let's see. I don't think there's anything else I want to put in here. Alright, other than the Jack Daniels and the Kansas City, that's all I want. I'm just going to drizzle and pat. Drizzle. And pat. Drizzle. And pat. Then you want to make sure you push it into the meat, right? Just push it in. Whatever pieces of meat or steak that you see that are not covered, make sure you give it a pat. Alright. But you want to leave some for the back side. So remember, we're going to pan sear these. Alright? So, I'm going to flip. The reason why I smash the rub in is so that it doesn't come off onto my pan, so that it stays into the meat of the steak. Just want to evenly coat each steak with this mixture we've smashed. Smush. I love to cook. Don't like to do dishes, I don't think. I mean, I don't like it when they sit there, but I just don't think the cook should have to do the dishes, But, that's just me. Well, sometimes I have to, but that's how it goes here. But, anyhow, you want to use all of it. So now we're getting down to the fine stuff, and you want that on one side. This is going to be, there's really no front or back with steak. There really is no front or back. See? It's all smushed into the flesh, and it's not coming off, because I want there to be a lot of flavor in these steaks. Okay, I'm gonna put that aside. I wish I knew what those things were called, but it's good for smashing. All right, so we're done with this part, okay? So now we're gonna put them in here, our steaks. And then I'm going to chop up some of the stuff that I'm gonna be cooking for you tonight. And then I will see you in a little while when I start cooking it all together. All right, we're gonna get rid of this. I don't know about you, but it's always good when you clean as you go. That way, just in case you end up getting stuck doing the dishes, you don't have a whole lot to clean. But it's also a bit of respect for the person that does have to wash the dishes. Usually it's my 20-year-old daughter that still lives here, and she usually puts stuff on. But if you have other house guests that are living with you, sometimes they don't want to do it either. But I don't have to worry about that anymore. So anyhow, on to other things. Okay, these have been sitting in the refrigerator, and these are just regular white mushrooms. Sometimes I like to use portobellos. When I'm grilling my steaks, I like to use portobellos. But tonight we're pan searing, so we're going to use white. All right, I've got a lot of them cut up in here already, and they've been washed and scrubbed. I did all this last night after cooking dinner for my family, and my husband was like, "Oh, you're doing sauteed mushrooms?" And no, these are for tomorrow night when I go onto my channel and cook on YouTube. All right, using the same knife, I like to slice this way, down the center, and down this way. Okay, so I'm just gonna sit it right there. Okay, trying to keep it away from this eye because it's hot. It's off, but it's hot. Still trying to let my marinade there cool down before I put it on these steaks. One day I'll do some grilled steaks for you and take you outside with me and do some grilling on my nice grill that my daughter bought for me for Mother's Day a couple years ago, and it was not cheap. She spent a pretty penny on it because she knows I like to grill. I like to do a lot of cooking. But anyhow, I'm gonna saute these for you guys tonight and show you how to make the steak toppings that you get from like Longhorns, or if you go to a steakhouse and you can ask for sauteed mushrooms or onions. I'm gonna teach you how to do that so you can do it at home. It's very expensive to eat at a steakhouse, but every now and then you want steak, but you can't afford steakhouse prices. So you go and get you a steak from Walmart. I buy my meat from Freshway. It's a place called Freshway, and if you're here in Houston County, Freshway is located in Byron, Georgia, and it's not too far away from where I live. So that's where I get my meat because it's cheaper there than anywhere else here that I've seen. Unless you're in the military and you can go on base, which we are not, so I don't have that luxury. But fresh, crisp mushrooms. They're so good. Oh, and they're very good for you too. So we're gonna put that aside. Now I'm gonna stick my finger still needs to cool down. And cover my mushrooms. Now, I'm going to take our green onions and put them in a cup. I'm going to show you what it takes. I'm filling it a little bit more than usual. About a half a cup. Just stick them in. Lean them over the side. That's it. Next week, I'll have long stalks. And I'll show you. I'll post a video and show it to you. It'll look a bit different and it won't look as uniformed as it does coming from the store. But you can use it just the same. Just like you can grow your own cilantro, your own rosemary in a garden, bring it in your house and cook with it. Keep it in a pot in your kitchen on the windowsill and cook with it. Endless possibilities, guys. Okay, so for tonight, I'm cooking, let's see, Brussels sprouts. I'm going to roast them in the oven. Roast them, not boil them. The reason why I don't buy vegetables in a can is because there are things lined inside of that can that preserve your vegetables. That can be very, very harmful to your body. But not to mention, they already come cooked. So you pour it in a pan, I know because I used to do this. Pour it in a pan, add your butter, salt, pepper, and then you cook it again. Where's the nutrients? In the water. Cooked out of the vegetable that you're eating. All my nutrients is right there. But you'll be seeing that tonight. Later. Okay, so we've already done. I've already finished with my marinade. It's warm and not hot, so it won't cook my steak. My steaks are down in here. I take this and I just pour it on top. Alright? And see, it's so cooled down that I can like do this with my hand and it's not burning me. But you want to get all that flan out of there and watch it fall into the pan. Alright, now with your hands, you want to take this middle steak, these two outside steaks that it's sitting on, and then you want to lift it up and then push it back down into the marinade. Okay? Alright, I'm going to wash my hands. Make sure you always use soap and water anytime you touch any kind of meat or anything like that, if you're going to be doing any preparing of any other vegetables or anything like that, because you don't want to, do cross-contamination. So, I'm going to take this lid and it's going to go into the refrigerator. And I will see you later on in about an hour when I start cooking all this up. It was a pleasure.